On May 4th, 2025, President Donald Trump announced a provocative proposal to impose a 100% tariff on all films produced outside the United States, framing it as a necessary step to revive Hollywood and protect national security. This unexpected move has sent ripples through the global entertainment industry, raising critical questions about its feasibility, economic consequences, and impact on international trade relations. The U.S. film industry, a cornerstone of both cultural influence and economic strength, generated $22.6 billion in exports and a $15.3 billion trade surplus in 2023, according to the Motion Picture Association's Economic Impact Report. However, with production increasingly shifting overseas due to tax incentives and lower costs, Trump's tariff aims to bring filmmaking back home. For investors in financial markets, this policy could reshape the landscape for media giants like Disney, Netflix, and Warner Bros. Discovery, while also influencing broader trade dynamics. This article explores the latest developments, provides an in-depth analysis of the tariff's potential effects, and considers the future outlook for the film industry and the economy. Latest developments. The tariff proposal was unveiled on May 4th, 2025, when Trump posted on Truth Social, declaring that the American movie industry was dying a very fast death due to foreign incentives luring filmmakers away. He authorized the Department of Commerce and the U.S. Trade Representative to initiate the process of imposing a 100% tariff on any and all movies coming into our country that are produced in foreign lands, citing national security concerns. The announcement, which followed a meeting with Hollywood Special Ambassador Jon Voight and other advisors, caught the industry off guard as many major U.S. films, such as Deadpool and AMP, Wolverine and Gladiator 2, are filmed abroad. Market reactions were immediate but mixed. On May 5, 2025, shares of media companies like Netflix and Paramount dropped nearly 2%, contributing to broader market declines, with the S&P 500 falling 0.64%, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average ending its 9-day winning streak, CNBC. However, stocks largely recovered by the end of the day, reflecting investor skepticism about the tariff's implementation. The White House, responding to the backlash, clarified on May 5th that no final decisions on foreign film tariffs have been made, with spokesperson Kush Desai stating the administration was exploring all options to safeguard economic security while making Hollywood great again, The Guardian. Trump softened his stance slightly on May 5th, telling reporters he would meet with industry executives to ensure they were happy with the proposal, BBC. Industry leaders expressed alarm and confusion. SAG-AFTRA, representing actors and media workers, supported efforts to boost domestic production, but sought more details. NPR. California Governor Gavin Newsom proposed a $7.5 billion federal film tax credit to complement the administration's efforts, Al Jazeera. Internationally, countries like Australia and New Zealand vowed to defend their film industries, which have become key production hubs, The Guardian. Analysis. The proposed tariff represents a bold but contentious extension of Trump's trade policies, marking the first attempt to apply tariffs to services rather than physical goods. Its potential economic and industry impacts are significant, but the lack of clarity on implementation complicates any assessment. Economic significance of the film industry. The U.S. film industry is a global leader, with a $15.3 billion trade surplus in 2023, exporting $22.6 billion in content to every major market, The Washington Post. It supports millions of jobs, from actors to technicians, and drives innovation in technology and storytelling. However, domestic production has declined, with Los Angeles experiencing a 40% drop in film and TV production over the past decade, according to Film LA. Countries like Canada, the UK, and Australia have capitalized on this shift, offering tax credits and rebates to attract a share of the $248 billion global content production market projected for 2025, Reuters. Implementation challenges. Defining a foreign film is a major hurdle. Many Hollywood blockbusters are produced by U.S. studios, but filmed abroad for cost savings. For example, Thunderbolts was shot in Georgia, Utah, New York, and Malaysia. Would such films face tariffs? Would the tariff be based on production costs, box office revenue, or streaming revenue? The rise of streaming platforms like Netflix, which operate globally, further complicates enforcement, as noted by Emory University professor Jennifer Porst. A platform like Netflix isn't like a theatrical model where you could tax the box office, The Washington Post. Legal questions also arise. Trump may rely on Section 232 of the 1962 Trade Expansion Act, which allows tariffs for national security reasons, but its application to services is untested. The Commerce Department would need up to 270 days to investigate, delaying any implementation, The Washington Post. Economic and industry impacts? If implemented, the tariff could reshape film production. Studios might shift some production to the U.S., but higher labor costs and fewer incentives could increase budgets, potentially raising ticket prices or subscription fees. Alternatively, studios might cut production, reducing jobs and content output. Streaming services, reliant on global content, could face disruptions, especially if foreign markets retaliate by targeting U.S. platforms. The risk of retaliation is significant. William Reinsch of the Center for Strategic and International Studies warned that the U.S. film industry, a strong exporter, has a lot more to lose than to gain from trade disputes. Time. Countries like Canada or the UK could impose tariffs on U.S. films, hurting Hollywood's $22.6 billion export market. European cinema chain founder Timothy Richards questioned the tariff's logic, asking, quote, "Is it where the money comes from? The script, the director, the talent, where it was shot?" BBC. Market and investment considerations. The initial drop in media stocks on May 5th, followed by a recovery, suggests markets are cautious but not panicked. Investors may doubt the tariff's implementation, given the White House's backtracking and the industry's complexity. However, prolonged uncertainty could deter investment in media companies with international exposure like Netflix or Disney. Domestic-focused studios might benefit if production shifts, but higher costs could offset gains. Expert perspectives. Experts are skeptical. Bill Ackman, CEO of Pershing Square Capital Management, called for a 180-day tariff pause, arguing that broader economic uncertainty outweighs direct impacts, CNBC. Industry insiders, speaking anonymously to Reuters, highlighted the logistical challenges of enforcing tariffs on films shot across multiple continents, Reuters. The Motion Picture Association has remained silent, reflecting the industry's cautious approach. Aspect. Potential impact. Likelihood. Production costs. Increased costs if filming shifts to U.S. Potential price hikes for consumers. High. U.S. film exports. Risk of retaliation reducing $22.6 billion export market. Medium. Streaming services. Disruption to global content models. Possible subscription fee increases. Medium. Domestic job creation. Possible increase in U.S. jobs, but limited by higher costs. Low. Market volatility. Short-term stock declines. Long-term uncertainty for media investments. Medium. Future outlook. The tariff's fate remains uncertain as of May 11, 2025. Trump's upcoming meeting with industry executives could lead to a revised policy, potentially incorporating feedback to address implementation concerns. The White House's statement that it is exploring all options suggests flexibility, and the proposal could be scaled back or replaced with alternative measures. One alternative is increased domestic incentives. California's $7.5 billion tax credit proposal could attract production without disrupting trade, aligning with suggestions from John Voight for tax provisions to support the industry. Such measures might be more effective, as tariffs risk alienating key markets like Canada and the UK, which could retaliate with their own restrictions. The global film production landscape could shift significantly. Countries reliant on U.S. productions, like Australia, might lose business if studios prioritize domestic filming. However, retaliation could limit U.S. access to international box offices, which are critical for blockbusters. Streaming services face unique challenges, as their global subscriber base depends on diverse content. A tariff could push platforms to produce more U.S.-based content, but at higher costs. Broader trade dynamics will also play a role. Trump's other tariffs, including a 145% levy on Chinese goods, have heightened global tensions. The film tariff could exacerbate these, especially if it prompts retaliatory measures against U.S. cultural exports. Investors should monitor upcoming trade talks and economic indicators, such as consumer spending on entertainment, to gauge the policy's impact. Conclusion. President Trump's proposed 100% tariff on foreign-produced films has ignited a complex debate, pitting the goal of revitalizing Hollywood against the realities of a globalized industry. While intended to boost domestic production, the tariff's unclear implementation and potential for retaliation raise significant risks. The U.S. film industry's $15.3 billion trade surplus underscores its global strength, making trade disruptions particularly costly. As the administration engages with industry leaders, the policy's future hangs in the balance, with alternatives like tax incentives offering a less contentious path forward. For investors, the uncertainty warrants caution, particularly for media companies with international exposure. The coming weeks will be pivotal as Hollywood navigates this high-stakes trade drama, balancing economic interests with its creative legacy.